You have been described by a number of teammates, analysts, coaches, whatever, as an incredibly intelligent basketball player. And having played against you in the playoffs, really specifically, you were fucking annoying because you knew every single play. You would call out the coverage. You know, you knew every hand signal. Like even when I was in LA and we had our little shit with me, CP, Blake, and DJ, where we had our little wink, wink, eye rolls, and we knew every play we were going to run without saying anything. You somehow would sniff it out. It just drove me crazy. And people talk about basketball intelligence all the time. I think it's one of the true separators in the NBA, along with competitiveness and love of the game. And I don't know that there's like a great definition of basketball intelligence and what that means. What does basketball intelligence mean to you? How would you sort of define that?
For me, I think basketball intelligence is, for one, being an extension of the coach on the floor. Because for me, when I'm playing a game, I'm not necessarily playing against a player. A great example is when I was going against the Celtics when I played for the Bulls. My whole mindset that entire series was to beat Brad Stevens. So I don't think many players are even thinking that way when they're out there on the court. I'm pretty sure none are thinking that way when they're out there on the court. So a quick story. I know I'm jumping around, but I think it was game one. It was like a ball game. It was a shoot around in the ballroom. We stayed in the hotel. We were at the Four Seasons. And I asked Jimmy and D-Wade to stay back. And I was working on fourth quarter execution plays that we could run in the fourth that Brad hadn't seen us play yet. So when we did run those plays, they weren't able to make those counters or adjustments. And for me, I was watching I think I watched maybe like 4 or 5 of his games to where his fourth quarter plays, they were calling sets that they ran for Isaiah Horford in that particular series to get ahead of the curve. Because I'm thinking, my mindset is thinking, how can I beat the coach? How can I outcoach the coach? Because I have I feel like I have the power and I'm involved in the game. So I have more of an influence and an impact that I can make versus a coach yelling from the sidelines trying to communicate to his players what they need to do. But me as a player on the court, I'm able to make those adjustments and be ahead of the curve.
But to be honest with you, that's one of the best answers that I've ever gotten on that question. And not that we've asked it a ton, because there's not many players that we've had on that could answer it that well. But I hadn't really thought about that. Now looking back, you really are a cocksucker, because that's essentially what you were doing. I'm getting these memories of the 2009, 2010 playoffs and looking over at you, whether it was a free throw, a dead ball, whatever, and you just be like staring at Stan. And
right.
Stan
I'm never going against the players. I'm looking at the coach and what he's saying, everything, because everything obviously he's saying that you guys are going to do and implement, so what he wants to do in practice. So if I can get ahead of those answers to the test earlier, I'll ace the test. And this crazy thing, we were in a bubble. This goes back to the bubble. Me and Brown were in the bubble. We were watching the game. I think it was Miami and Boston again. And we were sitting in the room watching the game. And like I said, it went down to the wire. So Brown's like, if we get Miami, I got Spo. And if we get Boston, you got Brad. So that was kind of our mindset. It's like, it wasn't like, oh, we're going to beat the Heat or we're going to beat the Celtics. It was more so, if we can outcoach or, if we can outcoach or outplay the coaches on that staff in particular, which 2 guys we felt that we knew pretty good, we were going to win.